Okay. Hey, welcome back to Friday. Hope everybody's excited and getting ready for a good weekend. Don't see any viewers on okay, but that's fine. Always happy to do these videos. Either way, it's always good. And always happy to hear what anybody's got going on for a weekend or whatever. I'm looking forward to it. Should be fun. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at useReducer. So this is going to the Introduction to React series that is now up to 11 videos. Super exciting. And we have been using useState for all of our data management. And we want to try out something different. We want to try out useReducer. And what that's actually going to allow us to do, because of the way that this is set up, this useReducer, which is essentially a replacement in place for useState. Let me just make that a little bit larger so you can see it. Is it kind of segues us into Redux, and Redux is a very popular state management system used in a lot of React apps. So it's really, really good to know. Hey, Alex. Hey, Emmanuel. Good to see you. Yeah. So what useState allows you to do is, we've used this before, is manage a single atomic value. What I think useReducer is good for is complex state. So in particular, where you have multiple pieces of state that are somehow interrelated, useReducer makes that a lot easier to manage. So, and also I have heard, but I have not verified for myself, that underneath the hood, useReducer is actually what is underneath useState. So useState is basically just syntactic sugar on top of useReducer, meaning that useState just makes it easy to build one of these useReducer patterns. And in fact, actually, I think I will do this video slightly differently than what I did on the regular video for this week's video for useReducer. Simply because I like to do that sort of thing. I think people learn differently. So we'll try it. You know what? I think I'm actually going to try and maybe fail, and that's fine. Making our own useState based on useReducer, so we can get a sense for how that works. Okay, so let's go over and jump into our terminal. Got our nice blue collar coder banner there. Let's bring up code in starting React. And let's see where we were. So let's go bring this up. And we've got, let's see, this is our Pokemon app here. So yeah, it looks pretty good. So far, we've been using a lot of useState. So this is basically saying we've got a piece of state. In this case, it's a string, and called filter. And then we've got a filter set. So that's what we're using. We're going to now move over to useReducer. But before we get there, let us at least start it up and see if it still works. How's everybody doing? Tell me, I want to know weekend plans and all that good stuff. Anybody got anything fun going on? Okay, so here we go. Here's our usual Pokemon search app. We've got, let's see, we can search by things. I always do Bulbasaur, but let's try something War, Turtle, I guess. You can also get more information, so that's great. So let's go over here and have a look at what useReducer has going on. So when you do useReducer, you get back an array, just like you did before. But you get state, just like you did before. But now you get something called dispatch. And what dispatch does is it's a function that invokes this reducer over here. And that reducer is this big old switch statement that's defined as a function. So the reducer takes two values. It takes the current state as well as an action. And sort of by convention, we've got an action type, and that is just a string. And it says this is the action that's going to be performed on it. And then it does something, and it returns, the contract is that you return a new value for state based on this action. And there can also be other stuff in here. So if you got like more data, you have an additional key called probably payload, again, kind of by convention. And that would be used to as part of this, for example. Well, I'll show you in a second. Okay, so you know what we're going to do? Instead of replacing everything wholesale, what I want to do is, let's see. I want to replace just Pokemon with useReducer, and we'll see how that goes. So we'll create a reducer for just Pokemon. So we'll call it Pokemon Reducer. And it's going to take the current state as well as an action. And we'll switch on that action type. Now, there's a slight difference between, if you're familiar with Redux, between Redux and useReducer, in that in the default case, they want you to throw a new error. So let's just drop that in there. And we'll make a new case for Pokemon. And, let's just do it all uppercase. I don't know why. That seems to be kind of a convention as well. And in this case, we just want to take whatever the payload is and return that, because that's going to be the new piece of state. In fact, we're just going to ignore state altogether, which is kind of interesting in this case. Okay, so this is going to give us a reducer that we can then pass on. So, to useReducer. And now we've got, instead of Pokemon set, we've got Pokemon dispatch. And the way that you call that is you just call it with that object that you want. So in this case, we're going to say Pokemon dispatch. And what's our action? What's our type? Our type is set Pokemon, so let's grab that. Type is set Pokemon. And then the payload is the data, which that annoys me, so I'm going to just do that. Okay, let's try this out. So Pokemon set is not defined. Well, where are we using that? Oh, we're not. Okay, so that's I don't think anybody is using that anywhere, so we're just going to not do that. Let's see. Okay, looking good. So now the list of Pokemon is now managed by this useReducer, which is pretty cool, I gotta say. So now in the other video, we went and we basically changed out our entire set of data to this. And I'm kind of torn as to how I want to approach this, but well, let's go there first. Actually, we'll replace all of okay, no. Actually, I think the best thing to do would be to start off by trying to okay, one question on the filter set function. Why do you call set filter? Oh, interesting point. Okay, so yeah. So I've started getting into this pattern, and it's just a pattern. It's not, it's not anything technical. But I've noticed that if you did set filter as opposed to filter set, let's say that you want to change the value of filter, like to, I don't know, Dubulaki, right? Now you've got set lowercase Dubulaki like that. If you use filter and filter set, then I can say Dubulaki set like that, and now it works. In terms of uppercasing and lowercasing, is that what you're talking about? I just want to make sure. Shouldn't you clone every time you return something new in a reducer? You basically do in this case. This is just basically returning you could do, let's see. So what is payload in this case? Payload is an array. So we could do this. And that would work just fine. So that would be, yeah. Well, yeah, it's a, yeah. Okay, so that's still working. That's great. In fact, actually, once we get there, I'll show you. Okay. But let's try out. Let's try to make that like a more generic use state, and then try that out for filter. So we'll call this, use my awesome state. And just to show you that use state is effectively just syntactic sugar on top of useReducer, or you could use useReducer in both cases. So let's call this initial value. And we're going to return something. We're going to return a value as well as a setter. Right. So let's go and get our useReducer and put that in there. And we'll say this is value, and then dispatch. And we'll put the initial value in there for the null. And then this guy is pretty easy. He's just going to be state and action. And we'll grab our switch statement from up here. We could do this in place. Maybe it's a little, yeah, okay. We'll just call that, and then we'll call this set. We're going to be taking in the payload. And true, yes, Vlad, I should probably clone this somehow. I don't know if it's 100% required. So in this case, okay, we're going to use a reducer. It's only going to have one ever type of action. It's going to be set. And then our setter is just going to be a function that takes a new value and then does a dispatch of type set, and then, well, again, payload. And we'll just drop that in there. Pretty cool. Yeah, Immer is good stuff. Actually, I did a video on Immer a while back. It's good stuff. So, according to myth and legend, and I haven't done this, so this could easily go sideways very fast. This should be a plug-and-play replacement for useState. So let's try that out. Filter. And refresh just to make sure, and type in bulb. Woo! Wow, look at that. That is cool. So that is basically, this is essentially a re-implementation of useState that uses useReducer, and all it's doing is ever just having one type of action and managing the payload that way. So that's just to show you that you can, that useReducer is sort of like the underlying layer to useState. Hope that helps. Okay, so now let's do something a bit more what I would expect from useReducer, because to me, I wouldn't use Reducer if I only had a single value. I would use useState. So let's go and build, useAwesomeState is a new custom hook. You can feel free to OSS that if you like. Clone an OSS. Okay. So let's go and create one that actually is more akin to what we might actually expect here. So we'll call it Pokemon Filter Reducer. And it's going to take a state and a payload, or an action. And let's see. So our, again, we're going to have a bunch of types in here. And in this case, we're going to do a lot of what Vlad says to do. So let's go and have Pokemon. So we're going to take all of the original state. useReducer, exactly. Navy for blue eyes. useReducer is basically, use it if you've got multiple pieces of state, or if there's a complex interaction, in particular, when there's a complex interaction between the different pieces of state. Okay, so we'll take Pokemon in this case. So this action is going to set the Pokemon to the given payload. And then we got two more things to hold on to, and that's the filter. And then the selected Pokemon. You know what? I've got an idea. Okay, here we go. So we'll do one better. Okay, so selected. Let's get past this, and then I will go and do like filtered Pokemon as a piece of derived state from this, And I'll show you how like we can get in because with, yeah, okay. All right, so here we go. So we got our Pokemon filter reducer. It's got 3 different actions in it. It's got set Pokemon, set filter, and set selected Pokemon. So we're going to use that at the top here. We'll call it state, and then dispatch. And again, use reducer. We'll give it our new reducer and its initial state. So that's going to be, let's see. Pokemon is an empty array. Filter is a string, empty string. And then finally, select a Pokemon. Hey, William, questions? Okay, so that's good. I'm doing great, William. Hope everybody else is doing good. Hope everybody else is looking for a fun weekend coming up. I know in Oregon, we are looking to probably lock down again because our COVID cases are exploding. So lots of fun at home, I guess. Watching a lot of Netflix, doing a lot of videos, maybe going doing some remote shoots alone. Okay. So here we go. So we're going to do Pokemon dispatch. Okay. We need to go and pass this on to everyone. So we're going to put that onto our context provider, state and dispatch. And let's see. So the first one, I'm going to get rid of all of this and just start changing this around. So here we go. We want to dispatch, set Pokemon with payload. That looks good. So set Pokemon. Okay, cool. And we're going to get rid of all of this, which is probably going to make everything blow up 3 ways from Sunday. And we'll start hacking on our components. So now down in here, we need filter and filter set. No, we don't. We need state and dispatch. And it's going to be state.filter. And then we need to dispatch. Again, with a type of, let's see, that's set filter, I'm guessing. And a payload of the target value. And I'll save that. Let's go Pokemon info. Yep, selected Pokemon. That's going to be in state. So state.selected Pokemon. Boy, I should have. Okay, here we go. Do it the old-fashioned way. See, Pokemon row doesn't require anything. That's good. And then Pokemon table, we got all this good stuff. So it's again going to be state and dispatch. Now let's see, state.pokemon. Are there any other ones? There's state.filter. And there we go. Select a Pokemon set, which we now do as that dispatch. And we'll go back here and grab, where is it? Set selected Pokemon with Pokemon. And that's it. Let's try it out. Let's see. Let's watch it blow up. Pokemon is not defined in app. That's a good one. Okay. Where is that one? Oh, if no Pokemon. Okay, fair enough. If no state.pokemon. Hey, all right. Looking pretty good. Not too shabby. Now, how do we know if this is getting run or not? Let's go and drop a console log in here, and we can just kind of see this working. So let's see, console.log, set filter, action.payload. We'll bring up our handy dandy. Oof. Because of another video, I was putting it on the bottom there. Ooh, I don't like that either. Let's go over here. Okay, cool. All right. So we have some issues around props. That's nothing new. Oh, looking good. Okay. So looks like we do have a reducer. So now I mentioned that you really want to use useReducer when you have pieces of complex state, right? Or issues where you've got connections between these two. So if we go over here into Pokemon table, we've got this thing, which is a bit of business logic that's actually in the code. So not my happiest day about this. So what I want to do is migrate this piece of code, this filter, into the reducer somehow. So I'm going to create a new function. That's okay, Wayne. You're here. It's early days. You're only 20 minutes in. It's all good. Okay, so let's see. So we're going to do filter Pokemon. And it's going to take the list of Pokemon and a filter. All right. And we can just get rid of the state stuff in there. Okay. That's looking good. And so now whenever we set Pokemon or filter, I want to also set filter Pokemon. Filtered Pokemon. And that should be filter Pokemon with the current, with the new incoming list of Pokemon and our current filter, state.filter. And then on this side, we also want to update it down here. But in this case, we're going to take the state.pokemon because we already have that. And then apply the new filter. And so now we've got this new array called filtered Pokemon. It starts off being null. It starts off being empty. And now theoretically, every time we change either Pokemon, we update filtered Pokemon, or we change filter, we change filtered Pokemon. And we should be able to go over here and say state.filtered Pokemon. Let's take a look. Okay, great. So let's try that again. Kakuna. There we go. A poison bug. Awesome. So it looks good. Let's just make sure that it's actually happening. A good way to do that. So I'm going to go and just, that would get messy fast. I'll just say console.log updating filtered Pokemon. Just to make sure that we're still running. I know it's a little weird. It's like making all these changes and we're not actually seeing like any blow-ups. But it is actually running, so we are actually doing the updating of the filter on the fly. So that's good. Nice. So there you go. There's a nice use case for useReducer. It's got a bunch of atomic data, all of which is related to each other, and then it's got some derived data that we can use to do the display. Hey, John. All right, sir. See you later. Would I need to remember all the action types, or is there something helping me? That's a good point. Okay, so what I would do, so here's, in reality, let's go, Wayne, let's go or Matthias, let's go a little bit further here. And we will expose, we'll take this, make it a store. It's not really a store. It will be the logic for a store. And we'll export that. And we'll also export constants for the different action types here. You'll see this a lot. Set Pokemon. Why are you giving me little squigglies? This looks fine to me. I don't know what your problem is. Okay, there we go. And now we can get rid of these guys. And now I can start kind of migrating my code. So I'll get rid of it here. And I'll import the filter reducer. And also, do I have any? Yes, I do. I've got set Pokemon. So I need that as well. And I'll import those from store. Okay, cool. Let's see, is it still working? Looks like it is. That's good. And now I can go back over to my stuff here, Pokemon filter, set Pokemon, and I can change this to set filter. I have to change it to a relative path because up one level. And there you go. So now I don't have to remember. Now I don't have to worry about, whether it's going to change or not. If it changes, I don't care. Let's see. Was there someone who's in here too? But okay. We don't use dispatch in there. We do use dispatch in here. So let's go and do one more. And it's select a Pokemon. And there you go. Nice. Okay. So yeah, that would be what I would expect from some clean code. If this were TypeScript, what I would expect as well is, and it's going to freak out. So I'll just, you'd use an enumeration like actions. You'd export an enum for an actions, which would have, set Pokemon, set filter, and set selected Pokemon. And then, you expect that the incoming type is one of those actions. Is the type of that enum, and that would enforce that you would have actions. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Mahindra. Bummer. Should be a little bit of echo, maybe? Like, if there's a lot of echo, that's a problem. I'm using this guy, which is not my usual rig, but I like it. It's kind of nice. Yeah, you can also do that, Vlad. You can specify a type. You can specify an enum. Yeah. Okay, so that's pretty much it for useReducer. So there's a couple of different ways we could go. We could go into TypeScript. We could actually try and convert this to TypeScript if you want. So pipe up if that's an idea. Another thing I was thinking about was I got a question on the Discord server earlier in the week, maybe middle of last week, around some issues when it came to React useEffect and timers. So if that's interesting, I would love to go and walk you through that timer example, because I'm thinking about doing a video because it is kind of an interesting use case, and we talk about closures a lot when it comes to that. So, okay, hold on. Let me just make sure I'm not getting any other audio. Huh. It's weird. Is that any better? So complicated, these systems nowadays. All right. Anyway, yeah. Let me just make sure that you're getting the proper setup here. Yeah, that's it. That should be good. Okay. Would love to see it with TypeScript. Okay, I'm in. Makes me sound like a sports broadcast. We're in the second inning. Batters lined up. Pitchers pitches. Okay. Swing and a miss. Okay, here we go. So what do I need to do I think I'm going to need to add TypeScript to this to get it to work, but let's start off by converting our store to TypeScript. All right. And let's see if it likes that. Okay, it doesn't, because we need to add TypeScript to this project, so let's go do that. This could get complicated very fast. You know how TypeScript is, right? This could get hairy. This could get real hairy. Yeah, I didn't like that. Okay, so state implicitly has an any type, which is not happy about. So let's go and Yeah, okay, so we need to find a state, which means we need to find Pokemon. Ooh, this is going to be fun. Okay, so type Pokemon has a name, English. Okay, and it's got types, which is an array of strings. It's got base, which is an object with a key of a string and a string value. And so state is going to be Pokemon, what is it called? Pokemon filter state. Pokemon's going to be an array of Pokemon. Filter is going to be a string. Filtered Pokemon, which we just added, is going to be also an array of Pokemon. And then what was the last one? Selected Pokemon is going to be a Pokemon. Okay, cool. And we'll make state that. And then action. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. So, okay, so this is going to be Pokemon filter state reducer action. What is type in TypeScript? What is a type in TypeScript? It's a way of defining to TypeScript. Yeah, I do normally start with JavaScript. Well, okay, no, for new projects I always start with TypeScript, but nowadays I'm doing a lot of JavaScript to TypeScript stuff. Okay, Pokemon action. Let's call it that. So back to Oga's point, types are a way of defining to TypeScript what your contract is between like functions and classes and all sort of stuff, so that later on you can make sure that everything being sent to and from this stuff matches that specification. So payload in this case is either going to be a string, a Pokemon, or a list of Pokemon. Okay, so let's see. So that's going to be a list of Pokemon. Filter is going to be a string. Okay, action payload as Pokemon array. Action payload as string. Ases are not a good thing to do, but we'll do it anyway just because. Okay, so, oh wait, hold on. Where am I missing that? Let's run TS line 5. Oh, type Pokemon equals. Duh. Okay, thank you. Once you get this set up, it actually goes pretty quick. Okay, but so Oga's, I mean, you kind of see the point here. So like from a JavaScript perspective, oftentimes like you don't know what the composition of, say in this case, a Pokemon is, right? So if we now go over here to Pokemon info, right? If I were to go and export these classes, or export these types, so let's say this is going to be export that type, export that type, export that type, and I were to import this into Pokemon info and call that, so what is it again? Pokemon is the type from the store. Now, oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to get the whole Pokemon filter state, maybe all of it, and say that the incoming state is Pokemon filter state. Okay. Or actually do it. Can I do it this way? Yes. State is not defined. Why? That should work. Oh, I know what it is. Okay. Yes. Sorry. Okay. Let's go back over here to Pokemon context. See, this is what I get when you guys. It's really fun, actually. State, which is a. So we start with state is null. Ooh. And now this guy has to be a TypeScript file. Ooh, wow, it didn't like that. Okay, sorry. Okay. And it's going to be state is, we'll just make a very simple starter state. Okay. All right. Are you happy now? Yes. Ish. No. Okay. It's not assignable to Pokemon filter state. Is that true? Oh, I know what it is. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So it's type Pokemon context type is state, where that is a Pokemon filter state. And this is that. Okay. Thank you. And null is not a type. Okay, that's fair. So it's, in this case, it's going to be Pokemon or null. Okay, now if I go back over here and I am looking at this, if I were to go change this to .tsx, then as I'm typing out this stuff, I start to get automatic hinting on things, which is really nice. So once TypeScript knows the types that you're dealing with, your code base becomes much easier to just kind of auto hint through, and it's very nice. And it starts giving you some cool stuff. Like in this case, it's telling us, whoa, buddy, this selected Pokemon could be null. What are you going to do about that? Well, what you can do about that is you can actually use the question mark operator to go and say, okay, if state.selected Pokemon is null, then don't worry about it. Nothing to see here. Keep on going. Actually, I should do this. And then it'll be super resilient. All right, looking good. And then, so it's automatically hinting to me if I've got issues. It's just really nice. So, Oguz, is that a nice way to learn about like why TypeScript might be interesting to you? Hope it is. If so, there's a bunch of videos I've done on converting JavaScript files to TypeScript that kind of goes through stuff like this. Maybe not as in such a clunky fashion as I just did, spending almost 18 minutes to convert a couple of JavaScript files to TypeScript. But we learn. So good stuff. Yeah. So any questions? We could leave this here. I could continue on converting the entire code base to TypeScript, but I don't think that's all that interesting. Oh wait, hold on. Did I mess this up? Pokemon context. Oh, where'd you go? On YouTube? Yeah, it's all on YouTube. That's the only place I put my videos. Source Pokemon context. Where is that? Oh no. Well, okay, you're right. I do have I have one course on Udemy from a long time ago. Oh, wait, do I? No, it was on some other vendor. How can you sort a list based on 2 criteria? Okay, interesting question. Let me finish up the Pokemon context thing and just make sure that everything's cool. I'm not sure why I'm seeing that as a problem. So source Pokemon context. No such file. Oh, I see what's happening. Okay, I know what happened. React scripts doesn't like it when you change out .ts for JS on the fly. So you got to reboot the server. No big deal. Okay, cool. We're good. Okay. Yes, exactly, Mahendra. Manendra, yeah, you nailed it in one. Nice. No, I think you're good. It was just the fact that the server needed to be restarted. It was just looking for a .js file, and I changed it around. Because you don't actually put on .ts or whatever. No need to retract. It's all good. So Karnai, you want to filter an array based on 2 criteria. Okay, interesting. While you warm up that question, I do want to try, with a little bit of time that we have to get some feedback on that timer issue and to see if anybody's run into this and get some feedback on that. So I'm going to go and quit this out. Thank you for everybody who's gone through that. Cool stuff. And we'll do a create React app, and we'll call it a timer bug. Okay, so let's see. Let me catch up with Karnai here. Searching for something that matches at the beginning of the string or anywhere in the string. So which one? So one has a precedence over the other. Like it's more important to search to find stuff at the beginning than it is at the end. Okay, is that the case, Karnai? So like, what's the actual logic in there? Because actually, those two are essentially the same use case. So if it matches at the top, that's more important than matching at the end, or than matching anywhere. Interesting. Okay. Feels like a Google bug, like a Google interview question. Yeah, I probably let's see. All right, let me, all right, let's go. Let me show you the timer bug thing first. Okay, so, all right, so we got our basic create React app. Okay, and we'll go and create a timer. Create a value. Again, value set. We'll start off at 0. And we'll just put that in there. Let's see, h1 value. The world's simplest app. It's literally going to put up 0. Hey, Matthew. How you doing? React is not defined. Oh, fair enough. Okay. Okay, so now we got 1. Ooh, or 0. How cool is that, right? Best thing ever. Carne. Oh, that's brilliant. I love that name. Thank you. I wish I could have a name like Carne. Like carne asada. Okay, so we're going to do use effect. And then in here, we're only going to run this once. So we're going to use an empty array. And then I'm going to do a set interval. Where we just add one to that value. So set, value plus 1. And then we'll do it every second. So we're making ourselves a stopwatch here. Okay, now we're getting an error, so that's interesting. We're getting an error because we're looking at value, but we don't have value in here. So that's interesting. So there you go. So we did 0, and now we got 1. So does anybody know why that is? Any takers on why that might be? Because this was actually the crux of the issue that somebody brought up on the Discord server about a week ago. And it's a really interesting problem. Because you're doing everything right here. Like if I were to go in here and put a console log in, this thing is getting called. So null is 0. Getting called. In React 17, you don't need to import React. Well, you do if you want to call it like that. And then you call prevState. Okay, fair enough. So you can see that this is getting called over and over and over again. Value is enclosed, and that function will always be 0. Jason nails it in 1 exactly. So what's happening here is that this guy, this console log here, running use effect right off the bat. So this guy gets called once and only once. Now ignore the 2. That's just some interesting stuff that happens when it comes to the hot module reloading. So what happens is, as Jason points out, that we are creating a closure at this point in time. And that value is stuck effectively at its initial value that happened the first and only time that this was ever run. So the long story short is that you can use, and I think William is pointing to this, that you can actually call value set differently. You can give it a function, and that function will take the current value, and then we can just say value plus 1. So that's the sort of long story short value. Oh, hold on. Now you're getting weird. There you go. Again, some fun with hot module reloading and all that. But we can start to see actually this now works just fine. But the trick is in understanding that you're creating a closure here, and that closure is capturing that value at 0 when it first gets run, and then it's never getting reset. So that's why you're always getting 0 plus 1 is always just 1. So you can still see, actually, that the bug is essentially still there. So, whoops, hey now. I killed I killed VS Code. Good for me. All right, there we go. Yarn start again. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we ran use effect, and now you can see we're still getting called, and it's the value, the actual variable value is still just stuck at 0. But the value set, which was given to us, is still a valid function. And with that function, you can use this API contract to go and increment 1 by 1 with the new value as it goes in there. So that's kind of cool. Anyway, I hope that helps everyone out. And I was thinking about kind of digging into it in more detail using a system like Quokka, which allows you to kind of go and show how that all sequences out. See, because closures are honestly, they're one of the most important things, and yet simultaneously one of the most difficult things to understand in the JavaScript context. So, definitely worth getting into. Okay. Hey, shall we take a crack at Carne's sorting algorithm? Why not? Why not? Okay. So let's see. We need a sorting algorithm. And let's see, we're going to have names. It's Friday. Indeed, Carne, it's Friday. Yo, Jackson, and then Jack, and then Sam. All right. And then ideally, names should be in... Okay, so our ideal output here is going to be Jack, because it's the first name, and then Yo, Jackson, and then Sam. Is that right? So so we are searching for something in our sorting, and whether if it's not good if it's in, or it's better than 0. Yes. Okay, Carne. Let me see if I can beat the Google interview. Okay, so let's do JSON stringify. Names. All right, sorted. We'll create a new one called sorted names. Thank you, Ogas. Okay, so let's see. Sorted names is names.sort. And we're going to have a search. Well, the search is Jack. Okay. And we're going to have a sort takes 2 values, A and B, by, whatever. I used to write C for a lot of time, so that Okay. Let's see. So we're going to return a score of A is less than a score of B. -1 or 1. Okay. And how do we do score? So a score is going to take a name. And let's see. If name starts with, isn't that the thing? Starts with JavaScript starts with. I think that is a thing, right? Okay, so starts with. Cool. Search. Then return, I want to say 2. Else if name includes search, then return 1. Otherwise, return 0. Okay, let's take a look. It's right, but it's in exactly the wrong order. Okay, there we go. So if we wanted Jack, Yo Jackson, and Sam, we got Jack, Yo Jackson, and Sam. So what this is basically doing is, so we've created a little interior closure called score, a little interior function. It is a closure because it captures search. That you give it a name. So we're going to evaluate name versus name A versus name B. And then in a ternary, say that if A is less than B, then it's, well, whatever. This is always fun. You know, I always get them wrong the first time around, and then I just flip these values, and then it's right. And then basically just scoring it. So if it starts with the name, then I give it a 2, high score. If it doesn't include the name, then I give it a 1, sort of semi-high score. If it doesn't include anything, then I give it a 0. And then there you go. Anybody got a better option on that one? Carne, how'd I do on a fast one? Oh, Jason, my man, Jason for the win. Okay, so yes. Yeah, that's a good one. So index of, and then, but I want it inverted. So I want name.length minus index of search. But I only want, okay, hold on. Let me just make sure. So so that'd be location is name.index of search. So location is greater than -1. Then I want to return name.length minus the location. Oh, this is clever. We can beat this. Okay, so let's take a look. See? Okay. Let me just make sure that, okay, I'm gonna extract this so we can make it a little easier on ourselves to reason about this. Okay, so .length.log score of Jack, and then score of Yo Jackson, just to make sure that I've got my, okay, so Yo Jackson is getting a better number. Why is that? Oh, because the whole thing. Oof, boy, that's tricky. I want to weight stuff that's higher than 0. Yes. Good call, Karnai. Very good call. Very true. How about -1 times? Does that make sense? Yeah. How about just location times -1? Okay, cool. And let's see, is that actually giving me the... okay. Jason's on the right path there. I'm just trying to deal with the math a little bit because like index of is actually greater depending where you find it. So anyway, I think that's good stuff. Anyway, okay, so we're getting about time to wrap up. As always, thank you guys for showing up. It's awesome. And let me just go and get my, yeah, good point. Yeah, hit the debugger. Definitely. Let me go and bring up my YouTube channel, YouTube, and invite you to come on over to the Discord server. It's lots of fun. We just hang out for a little while and just talk. Nothing's recorded. Just enjoy and get ready for the weekend. So hop on board the Discord channel, the Discord server. It's really fun. And it is, you know, Yeah, hang out in Discord, exactly. So I'll see you there in a few. All right, check you later.